I pulled up to my own lake house on a Tuesday afternoon and found 6 strangers sitting around my dining room table. My dining room table. In my house. With my Wi-Fi password written on a sticky note on my refrigerator door. A woman I had never seen before in my life sitting in my late father's favorite chair, laughing. I walked back outside, reached into my bag, pulled out my phone, and called a locksmith. This was my HOA, the Lakeview Shores Homeowners Association, and they had been using my private lake house as their unofficial satellite office for what I would later discover was nearly 7 months. And without a single word to me. Stay right there, because by the end of this, you're going to watch an entire HOA board explain themselves to an attorney, a county property authority, and their own membership. My name is Renata Voss. I'm a licensed civil engineer, and I work remotely from my primary home in Ashford, about 2.5 hours north of the lake. The lake house has been in my family for 22 years. My father bought it in 2003 as a weekend retreat, and when he passed 4 years ago, it came to me. The new board president was a man named Gerald Ashford, who had basically steamrolled his way onto the board through a combination of aggressive campaigning and the general apathy of everyone else who could have run. Gerald had a master key. It is not a co-working pass. It is not a conference room reservation system. I had Bari rekey every single exterior lock, front door, back door, side utility entrance, and the screen porch door that leads to the dock. Then I walked up to my own front door, inserted the new key, opened it, and said calmly, "Good afternoon, I'm Renata Voss. I own this house. I'm going to need all of you to leave." Gerald Ashford stood up from the head of my dining table and said, "Miss Voss, this is an authorized HOA operational facility. You were notified." Then I said, "Pull up the bylaws right now and show me the provision that authorizes the HOA board to occupy a privately owned residential property as an office." He blinked. One younger woman on the board paused at the door, looked at me, and said very quietly, "I told them this was wrong." Then she left. My grandmother's sideboard had a ring stain on it from someone's coffee mug. That was the moment I decided this was not going to be a conversation. This was going to be a reckoning. I photographed the ring stain on the sideboard. I photographed a sticky note on my refrigerator with my old Wi-Fi password. I photographed a file organizer on my dining table with tabs labeled by month, on top of what appeared to be printouts of HOA financial records. When I explained the situation, there was a long pause on the phone. She said, "Renata, what you are describing is potentially criminal trespass. I need you to get me every document you can find." What came back was a single email, sent at 11:47 p.m. on a Thursday, to an email address I had registered with the HOA 4 years prior. In those records was an email chain between Gerald and Diane from 9 months prior in which Gerald wrote, "Voss property is ideal, she never comes down, she won't notice." I took my 5 minutes. I presented a printed summary, 1-page, clean, factual to every homeowner in that room. I did not raise my voice. I did not editorialize. I simply read from the documents. Gerald attempted to cut me off. The parliamentarian, a retired schoolteacher named Frank, told him that under Robert's Rules of Order he had no authority to interrupt a member's comment period, and Gerald sat down. Gerald Ashford and Diane Cutter both resigned from the board within the following 30 days. Gerald's resignation letter cited personal obligations and time constraints. Priya, the woman who had paused at my door that Tuesday, voted to formally amend the HOA bylaws. They asked me if I would be willing to review the draft language. The amendment passed at a special session, unanimous. There is a lesson in this that applies to every single person who has ever been told that the rules say what someone in a polo shirt decides they say. The rules are written down. They are public documents.